Hi, this is Master Mike Nunchuk at Ancient Arts Martial Arts in Irvine, and I'm going to be explaining about how to present and use nunchucks in form performance. Another thing about nunchucks is, perhaps unlike other weapons, a nunchuck needs to constantly be alive. It needs to constantly be moving around your body, as opposed to being held statically at the ready. A nunchuck, what I like to say, idles. It idles the way a car engine idles when it's not being used. So when the car is running, the timing belt is still moving in the engine, but the car is not going anywhere. And with nunchuck, there are several different idling patterns that you can use, which, as I'm saying, just keep the nunchuck alive. It keeps it as a volatile, ready thing that's able to spring into action at any time. So we have a few different idling patterns. One, for example, might be the simple L pattern where the nunchuck comes to the hip and then across, and then repetitively just goes back and forth in this L-shaped motion. I'm not hitting with the nunchuck. I'm not holding it still either, but it's alive and it's moving, and at any time, by adding gas, what was just an idling pattern becomes a strike. So the difference between attacks and idling patterns is just how much energy you put into it. The nunchuck's still moving. Another idling pattern might be the triangle, where we cross diagonally across the body from the right shoulder to the left hip and back. And as you can see, the nunchuck's just alive, it's on my body, the timing belt is running, but the car is not going anywhere. But any idling pattern can become attack patterns by just adding more juice to it. Or more gas, as our metaphor may be. And then another idling pattern might be the V shape, where it'll come down to the hip and then up to the other shoulder, down to the hip and back. Once again, our timing belt is running, and we can just be in the fight and alive. And then with energy, this becomes upward strikes. Right up the chin or the jaw and back. So there are actually 4 different types of movements or things you need to learn to mix together to when you actually are going to use the nunchucks. And in addition to the idling patterns and the attacks, which we sort of just demonstrated, we also have stances, which are the times when the nunchuck is still and static. So we'll have one stance like this, we'll have one stance like this, and we'll have another stance like this. And then the last category, perhaps, we might call flourishes. And the purposes of flourishes is not merely to be alive and to have the nunchuck be moving, but to distract the eye, to blind or dazzle the opponent. So whereas idling patterns and attacks are just moving around the body like so, flourishes are some kind of extra thing, like a little loop before the nunchuck comes down, or an outside helicopter, or a big helicopter here, or any type of figure 8 motion or double figure 8 motion. It's just something busy, something surprising, something kind of dazzling that stuns and misleads the eye before you go back to something more solid like an attack or just that steady, living, moving, idling pattern that keeps the nunchuck going.